What if the NBA playoffs started now? Like today, the first round of the playoffs. Who will win the 2020 NBA title? We're sitting around with no basketball going on. We're waiting for the last dance to come on so we can have something else to talk about. So I decided to go ahead and go online and find an NBA simulation setup. That way I can go ahead and simulate the 2020 NBA playoffs, every single round, every single game, and determine who would be the best team based on the computer settings to give us a 2020 NBA championship. So in this journey, you're going to see exactly all of those results, see how it played out game by game, round by round, series by series, and to see who would win the NBA title if the playoffs started now.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Welcome back to Journey of a Ballaholic, the best talk show for basketball addicts. I'm your host, General Hannibal X. Now, if you're new on this channel, you're going to be getting my passionate and unfiltered opinion on the hottest NBA and college basketball topics. Now listen, I'm a ballaholic, and if you're missing the NBA like me and you're a ballaholic, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button, but make sure that you tap that notification bell so that you'll be updated whenever I drop new videos, which is every Monday and Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Listen, before we get this video kicked off, go down to the comment section below and let me know, who do you think would win the NBA 2020 playoffs if the playoffs started today? All right, so let's go ahead and kick this thing right off. I went ahead and online and found a simulation where I can kind of rank everybody based on the playoff standings as they are and as they ended up being. So that means, unfortunately for the Pelicans, they didn't make it. The Memphis Grizzlies got that 8th spot, and they'll be going up against the Lakers in the first round. You got the Orlando Magic taking on the Bucks, so forth and so on. So let's go ahead and kick this thing off. We're going to begin in the West, and then we're going to work our way to the East. We're going to go first round, second, conference finals, and all the way to the NBA finals. Now, to save time, what I did was, and just kind of let you know how the process worked, I went each game. For whoever was home, I put them in the home section. The away team, I put them in their way, and I ran the simulation. For each game, we started off with a 7-game series for each, all the way through to the playoffs, and the team that won first, that was the team that won the series. But to save time, what I'm going to do is, I'm only going to show the last game's box score for each one of the rounds. For each one of the series, and then we'll go from round to round and just kind of update the standings as we're going through. So to kick things off, in the West, we have the LA Lakers going up against the Memphis Grizzlies. This right here was an absolute domination from the beginning, a 4-game sweep. As the Lakers wound up winning game 4 in Memphis, you'll see it's 106-91. LeBron absolutely dominated the young Grizzlies, 30 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists. Okay, let's move on to the next matchup. We have the 2 versus 7, the Clippers versus the Dallas Mavericks. This right here was another sweep as the Clippers wound up sweeping Dallas in 4. And game 4 was in Dallas, where the Clippers wound up winning 118-109. Now, the Clippers had 6 guys in double figures that were led by Kawhi Leonard with 20 points and 9 rebounds. Now, let's move on to the 3-6 matchup. You had the Denver Nuggets versus the Houston Rockets. Now, this right here was kind of an interesting game. You had a lot of lopsided victories, but ultimately the Houston Rockets wound up winning in 6, 4-2, and they won game 6 in Houston, 113-104. Now, Russell Westbrook absolutely dominated this game. 21 points, 14 rebounds, and 8 assists, while James Harden also had 26 points, 6 rebounds, and another 8 assists. Now, the most interesting matchup for the first round in the West was the 4-5 matchup, as you had the Utah Jazz going up against the Oklahoma City Thunder. This game was the only game in the West that went 7 games, as the Utah Jazz in game 7 wound up falling to the Oklahoma City Thunder 94-85. It was a low-scoring game, one of the lowest scoring games of the whole simulation series, as OKC wound up winning due to CP3 with 11 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists, as well as Gallinari had a really good game with 18 points and 9 rebounds. Now let's jump over to the East, as the Milwaukee Bucks took on the Orlando Magic in round 1, the 1 versus 8 matchup, and this was a domination from the beginning. I mean, this game had nothing but complete blowouts every single game. And in game 4 in Orlando, Milwaukee wound up finishing them off 111-86, as Giannis dominated with 26 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists. Now, the 2-7 matchup was another domination, though Brooklyn was able to steal one with Kyrie Irving just kind of going insane. But Ultimately, Brooklyn lost in 5 games. The game 5 was in Toronto, as Toronto wound up winning 109-91, as Fred VanVleet actually wound up leading Toronto with 21 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, as Pascal Siakam had 19 points and 8 rebounds. Now, the best matchup in the first round for the East was the 3-6 matchup. The highly anticipated Boston Celtics versus the Philadelphia 76ers, a matchup that I just can't wait to see when the actual playoffs start. In this matchup, you had a 7-game series where the Boston Celtics, who were in Boston in for Game 7, wound up winning Game 7, 102-92, as Gordon Hayward, of all people, wound up leading them with 19 points, 13 rebounds, and Jaylen Brown finished up with 14 points, 11 rebounds, and their superstar, or soon-to-be superstar, Jason Tatum, wound up with 17 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists. Now let's go ahead and move on to the 4-5 matchup. That was the Miami Heat, who wound up beating the Indiana Pacers 4-2. Now, that Game 6 in Miami, Miami wound up winning 106-104 in one of the closest and toughest first-round matchups. Surprisingly, it wasn't Jimmy Butler that did it for him. It was the young fella Kendrick Nunn with 28 points. You also had Bam Adebayo, who dominated the glass with 16 rebounds, also chipping in 8 assists and 8 points as well. Now, that right there concludes the first round of the simulation. So let's go ahead and break down the matchups as we head into the second round. Now you have the LA Lakers, who are going to be taking on the OKC Thunder, as well as the Clippers versus the Rockets in the West. And in the East, you've got the Milwaukee Bucks taking on the Miami Heat, Celtics versus the Raptors. So in the first matchup with the Lakers versus the OKC, this was yet another complete domination by the Lakers, as they went out there and swept the OKC Thunder. Game 4 in OKC on their court, they wound up winning 113-108. Now, this game was Anthony Davis' game, as he absolutely dominated this series. 32 points in Game 4. He had 18 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals. I mean, the entire series, he was just dominating. They had no answer for the big man. Now, as you move on to the next matchup, you also wound up having the Clippers and the Rockets in I'm talking about a drag-out knock-em. This was a big-time matchup, and it really did not disappoint. Every single game was close within 10 points. There was no blowouts, but unfortunately it came down to that Game 7, which was in LA, and the Clippers wound up winning that 118-111. Kawhi was just too much. And one of the consistent themes you saw there was that James Harden was really held in check for most of that series. Kawhi finished with 26 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists, as Paul George chipped in 17 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists as well. Now, moving on to the East second round, you had the Milwaukee Bucks taking on the Miami Heat, and that was a 4-2 win for Milwaukee. In Game 6, they wound up taking the Miami Heat out with a 114-111 tough win. And the Milwaukee Bucks, their depth truly showed up and showed out, as they had 7 guys in double figures, led by Giannis, 15 points and 11 rebounds. Now, as we move on to the next matchup, this right here was probably a better matchup than even the first round matchup that the Boston Celtics had, as they took on Toronto, and this went down to Game 7. And this right here was a barn burner. In Toronto, the Boston Celtics wound up winning 112-111, led by none other than Gordon Hayward and Kemba Walker. Kemba Walker put up 25.7 assists. Gordon Hayward chipped in 20 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists. Like, I was actually surprised at how much love Gordon Hayward was getting. And we kind of saw before the season ended, he was starting to, kind of get his groove. So it's kind of interesting that the computer was simulating him as being one of their best players. Now, as we move on to the conference finals, that set up a situation in which we had the most highly anticipated matchup of all the entire simulation, the Lakers versus the Clippers in the West. You also had the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Boston Celtics in the East. LA hallway series, it did not disappoint. Like, totally did not disappoint. This matchup right here, you had a couple of blowouts, which was kind of surprising. You thought it would have been a little closer games. There were, I think it was 2 really big blowouts, and it kind of ended in blowout fashion. In Game 7, it went a 7-game series. Game 7 in LA, which would have technically been the Lakers' home court game. The Lakers wound up blowing them out 130-113. LeBron was absolutely dominant the entire series. He finished up Game 7 with 28 points, 14 rebounds, 14 assists, with a big-time triple-double. Anthony Davis chipped in 27 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists, and the one common thread about this series was that Paul George typically was a no-show. Lou Williams has a couple of 30-point games to kind of help Kawhi Leonard, who was consistent all series, but it pretty much was Paul George's no-show that I think was the reason that the Lakers wanted to pull in this one out. Now, the Eastern Conference Finals wasn't as close. The Milwaukee Bucks were just kind of they were more dominant in their wins. Boston Celtics edged out some wins, but it was ultimately a 6-game series that ended in Boston with the Milwaukee Bucks winning 116-107 as Giannis absolutely dominated these boys with 26 points, 19 rebounds, and 5 assists. So that set us up for a finals that truly put two juggernauts together in a matchup that I was expecting. I can't say that I didn't expect it. I did expect it, and it kind of gave us what we wanted. And so for the finals, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down every single game because this right here was good. This was a juicy finals, and it started out in Milwaukee, who had the home court. And the Milwaukee Bucks in Game 1 wound up losing home court advantage as the Lakers stole Game 1 in Milwaukee 107-95. LeBron put up 21 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, while Anthony Davis chipped in 16 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 blocks, while Giannis held his own. I mean, he gave you 22 points and 11 rebounds, and Chris Middleton tried to chip in with 22 and 7 of his own. It just wasn't enough. So Game 2 came in Milwaukee again, and the Bucks got some revenge, big time revenge. They absolutely blew the Lakers out 120-94. Giannis put up 16 and 15 with 11 assists, a big time triple double. Wasn't a bunch of scoring from him, but it really wasn't needed as Chris Middleton chipped in 23 points of his own. Now, Game 3, it kind of went back to LA, and the Lakers took the 2-1 series lead in a tough game, came down to the wire as they won 113-109, led by Anthony Davis with his 21 points, 14 rebounds, and 5 assists. Now, Giannis was still dominant as he was the entire playoffs and finals, as he had 28 points, 17 rebounds, and 7 assists, but he just didn't get enough help to beat the Lakers in LA. Now, Game 4 came, and unfortunately, it was another Laker win as they wound up going up 3-1 in the series with a 112-101 win. But you shouldn't be surprised as the King James came out there with 33 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists, putting the Lakers on his back to take a 3-1 lead. Now, the next game, the Milwaukee Bucks got some revenge. Then they got back in the series off of a dominant effort by Giannis as the Bucks won 104-100. Giannis put up 30 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 assists. But then it came down to Game 6, and this right here was the game-clinching series, clinching, where the Lakers wound up winning 126-116, led by LeBron James, probably one of his best games of the entire playoffs, with 27 points, 9 rebounds, and 16 assists, while Anthony Davis had his highest scoring game of the entire playoffs with 41 points. Once again, Giannis held his own with 26 points, 13 rebounds, and 8 assists. It just wasn't enough as the Lakers wound up being the 2020 simulated champions. And of course, LeBron James ended up being the finals MVP as he wound up averaging over that 6-game series 25.6 points, 9.6 rebounds, along with 8.1 assists. So listen, this right here was a video that was strictly for my stat heads. If those guys that just really love getting down into the box scores, crunching the numbers, this right here I love doing. I love these type of simulation games. So what do you think? What do you think about these types of simulations? Do you like this? Do you not like these types of videos? Let me know in the comment section below. If you haven't seen some of my past videos, make sure you click the boxes on the screen right here to the right. But listen, until next time, peace.